Yesterday I got a big load of compost for my garden, so today we're going to peel back the tarp in the first section of the garden and we are going to start putting that compost on top of the garden bed. Hey guys, welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. My name is Mickey. If you are new here, welcome. If this is not your first visit, welcome back. I appreciate you. And as I said, today we're going to start working on getting this compost from the pile on the side of my yard into the garden bed. And I say we, but really it's going to mostly be my husband and my son when he gets here later, because I can only do about 2 wheelbarrow loads before I'm worn out. So we're going to go out and take a look at how that process goes.
So here is the load of compost that just got delivered. It is 15 yards and it's going in that first section of the garden. When we put the garden to bed last fall, we had loads and loads of mulched up leaves, grass clippings, other mulch and things that my husband had brought home from work. And then we topped that with some rotted manure that we got from the neighbor that does our hay. And so then we covered it all up with these big tarps. So what we're going to do is fold back this first section of tarp, and that's where we're going to start adding the compost. And we are just going to continue to fold back the tarp as necessary to however far that compost is going to go. Alright, so we got the tarp finally pulled back for the section that this first load of compost is going to cover. It didn't help that, number one, it rained a couple of days ago pretty hard, and so there was puddles on the tarp, and also the tarp is gigantic and there was only 2 of us. So if we'd had 1 more person, or better yet 2 more people, so we could have just stretched ourselves along, it would have been easier to fold, but that's okay. We got pulled back what we need, and then Joe is getting a rake and he's going to rake the thatch and stuff out of my rows of strawberries over here so that they will do better. He did say he saw 1 little bitty red tomato, or not tomato, oh my goodness, 1 little bitty red strawberry at the far end. All right, now he's got my strawberries all cleaned out, so he's gonna start loading up this compost. It's really nice looking compost too. And it's actually called a garden soil blend. So it's got compost, topsoil, and I can't remember if this is the one that also had a little bit of sand in it, but that's what we need for our soil here because it's so poor.
And a couple years of doing things like this and growing more things in it will start to really make a difference. So hopefully this year is better than last year, next year will be better than this year. You know how it goes. So you're gonna take it to the far end?
Yeah. Here's my plate.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Oh, not quite big enough. So I ordered 15 yards for this first section, so that should give us coverage of about 3 inches based on their calculator. So Joe is just going to keep wheelbarrowing loads of the compost from the pile over to the garden space. When my son gets here, he was helping someone else this morning. When he gets here in a couple of hours, he will help him as well. And so I'm going to leave him to it, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to start some more plants, or I'm going to go ahead and get some more seeds started. I'm going to do another set of pots of peppers and tomatoes and maybe a few other things depending on what has germinated and how they look, and then see if I've got anything else that I was supposed to start this week. So I'm going to go inside and I'll be out in a little while to check on his progress.
So while I was inside, Joe was just making piles of compost with wheelbarrow loads, and I came out just like that one down there. And then when I came out, I used this rake and started spreading everything out, which I forgot to turn the camera on until just now, so you missed that part of it. But I did the same thing as I'm doing right now, just using this rake to kind of spread it around and make sure that everything is covered. So the wind has really picked up as the day went on, and we just have this little bit left. Thank goodness my husband is really starting to wear out. My son got hung up at his last job and was not able to make it out to help us. So Joe ended up wheelbarrowing that entire 15 yards of compost by himself. All I did was spread it out, and I am still sore. It's been a couple of days, and my arms and legs and shoulders are still sore. It was more work than I'm used to. But we are almost done, so that is good, and it just looks so beautiful. So we are finally done, and it is ready now for me to start planting in a few days.
Good morning. So it is Tuesday after we did the compost in our garden. I took today and tomorrow off. They're supposed to be the nicest days of the week. And so I took these 2 days off to get some of my spring planting done. So I've got onions, I've got potatoes, and I have a bunch of seeds that it's time for me to start in my area. Now, of course, it's windy as crazy outside, which in the Midwest, I don't know about any place else, but in the Midwest, in the spring, if you've got warm weather, you've got wind. And so I prefer it not be windy, but what are you gonna do, right? Okay, so I am going to start with my onions. I don't remember if I told you guys, but I ordered my seeds in December, and I apparently ordered onion sets in December. Forgot that I ordered onion sets, ordered some more a couple of weeks ago and got those. So I have a lot of onions, maybe 500 now. There's no way we need 500 onions, but I'm gonna plant them all. I can give them away. I can chop some of them and freeze them. You know, there are lots of things I can do, but mostly if I get that many onions, I'm definitely going to be giving some away. So I'm going to finish getting ready because it's still a little chilly outside, especially with that wind. So I'm gonna finish getting ready and we're gonna go outside and I'm gonna start raking up my rows and we're gonna start getting these onions planted, and then we'll move on to some of our other things that we're gonna plant today.
So the wind is just really crazy right now and making a lot of noise. So what I'm doing is I went and got a rake, and I'm going to rake that compost that we topped our garden with into some rows so that I have a row for planting and then a section between the rows as my walkway.
My garden rows are going to be about as straight as I cut a cake, which is not straight at all. So starting with a yellow Spanish, Y-E-L-O Spanish. I don't know if you guys can see that.
I have 4 packets of these yellow Spanish onions. So what I'm doing is a double row of onions planted in that first raised row, and then I'm going to break up another one and I'm going to do another double row there until we get them all planted.
So I'm going to try to count these as I plant them so that I can have a rough idea of how many I've got in the ground, and then I can compare that to how many I end up with at the end of the season. But I do have a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one along the outer edge of this sort of row that I put here, and then one along this side, and that way they'll be a foot or so apart this way and then 3 or 4 inches apart this way. Alright, so I have 4 bunches of another yellow onion called Candy, and then I have 2 bunches of one called Superstar Hybrid, and that is a white onion. So I'm going to do these yellow onions, the Candy variety, just like I did the yellow Spanish. So we'll end up with 2 rows of those. I might, since this planting row is actually the size that I intended for the other 2 to be, I might do 3 across. We'll see how it goes. Alrighty, we're gonna do potatoes next. So I planted 600 onions. Now, probably they won't all become nice big onions, but I'm hoping a lot of them do. And like I said, if I have way too many, I can preserve some of them by chopping them, put them in the freezer, and I can also share with my family and friends. So that will be good. So potatoes, I have 2 bags of the Yukon Gold, have a small bag of russet Burbank, and a small bag of Gold Rush potatoes. Now, other than the Yukon Gold, I don't remember why I picked these varieties, but these are the ones I have, and so this is what we're going to plant. So I'm going to start with the Yukon Gold, and I'm going to plant them in this row here. What I ended up doing with the onions is I extended the rows just a little bit, and I was able to get all four bunches of the second yellow variety in one row, and then the extra in the other two rows to make it match this row, I was able to plant the white hybrid onions. So it worked out pretty well, and so now we're going to, hopefully I can get these open. We're going to start with our potatoes. Maybe. Oh, there we go. And I am not going to cut any of these. If I was, I would have had to do it earlier and let them kind of form a little crust over the cut piece. But I'm just going to do the whole potatoes. Most of them are not very big, so I'm just going to plant the entire potato and we'll let it go that way. I probably should just lay these out so I don't put them too close together before I go ahead and bury them. Okay, so the onions are done, the potatoes are done. I've now raked out two 30-inch-ish rows. I'm going to plant some peas, and I've left them far enough apart we can put some fencing to make like a hooped trellis. And then underneath that, I'm going to plant some carrots. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the peas. I have a couple different varieties of peas. The ones I'm going to do right now, it just says Garden Pea Maestro. We want to plant these as soon as the soil can be worked, which is now. Weather's still cool. If you plant at 2-week intervals, that will help extend your season. Plant again in midsummer for a fall crop. I've never had any luck with a fall crop, but maybe with better soil, we might try it this year. Plant the seeds 1.5 inches deep, 3 to 4 inches apart. Germination should take place in 6 to 10 days. These are a 61-day maturities, so they should be done, they should be ready to start harvesting mid-May, which of course is when I'm going to be on vacation, so it'll be up to my husband, hopefully, to do some of that initial harvest. Oh, they have pink on them, so cute. Okay. Let's see if we can see those, see that pink in there. Got the peas, got 2 double rows on either side of where I'm going to put the carrots, and so I've started. I had 2 packets of a Yaya hybrid, and then I have 1 packet of Nantes, how do you say it, Nantes, and 1 package of Imperator, and I'm just filling the row with these packets, emptying them as I go. Okay, I had a couple other things I was going to do today, but I'm getting really tired, so I am off again tomorrow. It's not going to be quite as warm, but still decent. So I think I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of those seeds tomorrow afternoon. So now I just have to go find the water hoses, get them hooked up so I can water everything in, and I'll be done for today. All right, we've got everything that we planted today all watered. I'm gonna leave the hose out here so I can water again tomorrow. I also have, I think I had planned another section of peas up by the potatoes and more carrots and some beets. And then the rest of this section will, the rest of this section will be for my other spring things that are still little seedlings in my grow area. So that's going to do it for today. I'll be back out tomorrow. Hopefully it won't be too chilly, and we'll get the last of our seeds planted for this week. Okay, it is the next day, and I was going to plant several things today to finish out what's in the garden so far, but I decided, I made some changes based on a couple of things. So I was gonna plant more peas. I'm actually gonna wait a week or two and get the second planting of peas out so they'll kind of be spaced out. I was also going to plant some more carrots and some lettuce, but we're supposed to get rain this weekend. Some areas of town are supposed to get a lot of rain. We tend to be kind of on the fringes of that typically, so we may not get that much, but I don't want to plant a bunch of teeny tiny seeds that just get washed away. So the beets are okay though. So I've got two different kinds of beets here. I have a Detroit dark red, and I have a tall top early wonder. And there are, let me see if it tells me how many seeds are in here. Not sure, but I am going to do one row of each of these, and we'll just see how far they go. I think I do have more beet seeds upstairs with the rest of my seeds, and so I may plant some more of those if this doesn't go as far as I think it's going to, as I think it might. So we're gonna go out. It is windy today, so I'm just gonna film and probably not try to talk out there because it's a little more windy than yesterday. So I'm gonna go ahead and rake up my 2 rows, get those ready, and then I'm gonna plant each one of these in a row, and we'll see how far we get with these. All right guys, that is gonna do it for today's video. So we got the compost spread over the garden. I got a bunch of things planted. I'm looking forward to planting more. This is the time of year that everything is so hopeful. I feel like this should be New Year's. It's when you are so excited for everything that you're gonna do in the garden. Maybe that's just me. But, so we got quite a bit done these last couple days. I'm glad I got most of it done yesterday because it's quite a bit chillier today, mostly because the wind is kind of howling out there. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you would go down and just give that a nice thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks guys.